For 3 years, Amara Sinclair ran his empire, remembered every detail of Dominic Hale's life, yet he couldn't remember the color of her eyes. To him, she was invisible, until the night he realized the woman he'd ignored wasn't just his assistant. She was the only one who ever truly saw him. In the heart of Atlanta, where glass towers kiss the sky, Amara moved through Hale Enterprises like a quiet shadow. Every report, every schedule, every crisis, she handled it all, calm, precise, perfect. And yet, to the man whose empire she held together, she was little more than background noise. 3 years of silence. 3 years of swallowing words she never said. He never saw the kindness in her eyes, or the exhaustion behind her smile. But love has a way of finding the invisible. One evening, under the gold light of a charity gala, everything would change. Because sometimes, the people we overlook become the ones who remind us what love really looks like. If your heart's ever whispered, "I wish someone truly saw me," don't look away. This story was written for you. Morning light spilled across the marble floor of Hale Enterprises. Amara Sinclair walked through the lobby, the click of her heels lost in the echo of power. Men in tailored suits greeted Dominic Hale with warm smiles. "Morning, Mr. Hale." Not one pair of eyes turned toward her. She carried folders close to her chest, moving with quiet precision. Security guards knew her name, but never used it. Receptionists glanced past her as if she were part of the glass walls themselves. The elevators hummed softly, climbing toward the 52nd floor. Inside, Amara studied the reflection of herself in the mirrored door. A neat bun, plain blouse, calm expression. She whispered, "Invisible fits me just fine." But the tremor in her voice betrayed her. When the doors opened, she stepped into the world of executives and whispered deals. Dominic's office waited at the end of the corridor. Tall, bright, unreachable. She straightened her back and walked forward. It was another day of being essential and unseen. Every morning began the same. Fresh coffee brewed before sunrise, his schedule printed and color-coded. Amara's fingers moved quickly, her handwriting flawless, her mind 3 steps ahead. Dominic entered without greeting. He placed his phone on the desk. "Cancel Peterson. Move the board meeting to Thursday." "Yes, Mr. Hale." He didn't look up. The hum of the city filled the silence between them. Through the glass wall she saw Atlanta alive. Traffic, neon signs, ambition. Inside this office, time stood still. She watched his reflection in the window, tall, immaculate, untouchable. A man who commanded every headline but offered no warmth. To him, she was function, not feeling. By noon, her coffee had gone cold. The clock ticked without mercy. She typed another report, sealed another envelope, swallowed another word she wanted to say. Some people built empires with power. She built hers with patience. It happened without warning. Dominic stopped reading, his pen resting mid-sentence. "The Children's Hospital Gala, tomorrow night." "Yes, sir. I'll confirm your reservation." He looked up. "No, you'll accompany me." Amara froze. "I'm sorry, what?" "You know my associates, the contracts, the language. It makes sense." His tone was final, not kind. Her pulse quickened. "Mr. Hale, I don't have—" "Use the company card. Buy what you need." Then he returned to his papers as if he hadn't just turned her world upside down. She stood there, file pressed to her chest, hearing only the rush of her heartbeat. For 3 years she'd blended into the background. Now he wanted her beside him, under the lights where everyone could see. As she left the office, his voice followed, low but steady. "I need someone capable, Amara, not another socialite." The elevator doors closed between them. She exhaled, not sure if this was promotion or punishment. That evening, Amara sat on the edge of her bed, the city glowing outside her window. The company card lay on the nightstand like a test. Her reflection stared back from the darkened glass. Tired eyes, work-worn hands, a woman who'd forgotten what it felt like to be seen. Could she stand beside Dominic Hale, the man every magazine called flawless? Memories pressed in. Small humiliations, polite smiles that never reached her. She whispered, "People like him don't choose women like me." Yet, beneath the fear was a flicker of defiance. Maybe she was tired of disappearing. Maybe tomorrow would not belong to fear. She reached for her phone, searched boutiques she'd never dared enter. Her chest tightened, half dread, half curiosity. Outside, thunder rolled over Atlanta, heavy and low, as if the sky itself sensed change coming. Amara closed her eyes and breathed in the sound. For the first time in years, she let herself imagine being seen. Saturday morning found Amara standing outside a boutique she had only walked past before. The windows gleamed with silk and light. Her fingers tightened around the company card. She almost turned away. A voice greeted her. "Welcome to Marceline Atelier." The stylist, elegant and kind, studied Amara's posture, her hesitation. "You're here for something special." Amara nodded. "A charity gala." The woman smiled. "Then let's find the version of you the world forgot." Hours unfolded in quiet awe. Fabric brushed her skin like confidence reborn. Midnight blue, soft and strong. A dress that curved with grace, not apology. When the stylist placed a hand mirror before her, Amara's breath caught. She looked possible. Not someone new, but someone remembered. Outside, evening rain touched the streets. In her bag, the receipt felt heavier than its price. It felt like proof. For the first time, money had bought not vanity, but courage. Back home, Amara stood before her mirror. The gown rested on the chair, waiting. Her hair fell loose for once, soft waves brushing her shoulders. The mirror showed every year she'd hidden behind neat buns and muted tones. Tonight, there was no hiding left. She put on the dress slowly, almost reverently. Each zipper sound was a quiet act of rebellion. When she slipped in the earrings, small gold drops that caught the light, she met her own eyes. There was strength there, something calm and certain. She whispered, "This is me." Not the invisible assistant, not the careful shadow. The woman staring back wasn't trying to be beautiful. She simply was. Outside, Atlanta shimmered in city light. Inside, Amara smiled at the mirror, no longer afraid of her reflection. The grand ballroom glowed with chandeliers and quiet wealth. Strings played a soft melody, laughter weaving between the notes. Dominic Hale checked his watch, impatient. His assistant was never late. Then a murmur moved through the crowd, a subtle wave of awe. He turned. She stood at the entrance, poised beneath the gold light. Midnight blue silk, smooth skin, eyes bright like hidden emeralds. For a moment, he didn't breathe. People whispered, "Who is she?" He took a step closer, disbelief melting into wonder. Amara offered a small smile. "It's me, Mr. Hale." He blinked. The realization struck like thunder. The woman he'd ignored was suddenly unforgettable. He extended his arm. "Shall we?" She nodded, calm but trembling inside. Together they crossed the room, every gaze following. The invisible woman had become the center of the world. As they moved through the ballroom, conversations faltered. Every head turned. Men watched with admiration. Women whispered behind silk fans. Dominic felt a strange tightening in his chest. Pride, maybe, or something less safe. He had attended hundreds of events, yet none felt like this. Beside him, Amara's calm presence drew light like gravity. Senator Hughes greeted him. "Dominic, good to see you. And this lovely lady?" "This is Amara Sinclair," he said, voice steadier than he felt. "My companion for the evening." Her laughter, soft and genuine, filled the space between them. Dominic saw how naturally she fit, how the world bent toward her without trying. When a younger executive approached and lingered too long in conversation, Dominic's jaw clenched. For the first time in years, he felt something close to jealousy. The orchestra began to play. He offered his hand. "Dance with me." The floor opened beneath the slow rhythm of violins. Dominic's hand rested at the small of her back. She looked up, meeting his eyes without fear. "You're full of surprises tonight," he murmured. She smiled. "Perhaps you're just seeing me for the first time." The words settled between them, heavy and soft. He didn't answer. He couldn't. As they moved, the room blurred into color and sound. Every turn drew him closer. Every breath reminded him she wasn't just beauty. She was grace earned through years of silence. He realized then how blind he'd been. All the meetings, the quiet mornings. She had been there, steady as heartbeat. The music swelled. Her fingers brushed his, a spark between restraint and longing. When the song ended, Dominic exhaled slowly, as if waking from a dream. And Amara, calm beneath the lights, finally felt seen. Monday morning returned with quiet gray light. Amara walked through the lobby again, same cardigan, same glasses, same small smile, yet something in her had changed. And Dominic Hale noticed. He looked up when she entered his office. Her bun, her calm voice, her neat hands, everything familiar. Still, he saw her differently now, as if the ballroom had left its glow behind. "Good morning, Mr. Hale," she said. "Morning," he replied, voice softer than usual. The silence that followed felt new. He caught himself watching the way she adjusted her papers, the way her breath steadied before speaking. It unsettled him. To everyone else, it was another normal day at Hale Enterprises. To him, it was a strange kind of awakening. When she left the room, the faint scent of her perfume lingered. Not expensive, just warm, like something alive. He turned toward the window, watching her reflection fade in the glass. The world outside still moved fast, but his gaze stayed fixed on the woman he once never saw. Days slipped by, each charged with something unsaid. Amara worked beside him, professional and poised, but the air between them had shifted. He began finding reasons to stop by her desk, small questions he could have emailed. Each time, their hands brushed. Each time, something flickered. Once, she handed him a file and their fingers met. A small shock ran through both of them. Neither spoke. He cleared his throat, pretending to read. Through the glass walls, the office hummed with routine. Yet inside that quiet space, everything felt fragile and alive. She caught him watching once, eyes soft with confusion. He looked away, almost embarrassed. Dominic Hale, the man known for control, suddenly felt unsteady. When she left that evening, she whispered, "Good night." He hesitated, then answered, "Good night, Amara." Just her name. Simple, deliberate, and far too intimate for an office. The next morning, a glossy magazine waited on his desk. The headline read, "Mystery Woman Captures Billionaire's Heart." Photographs from the gala. Amara in her blue gown, laughing, his gaze fixed on her. The captions made it sound like love. The internet agreed. By noon, whispers filled the halls. Assistants glanced at her, smiling behind screens. Her inbox flooded with messages she didn't want to read. Dominic entered, jaw tight. "I didn't plan this," she said quickly. "I know." His tone was calm, but unreadable. He studied her face. The same calm eyes, the same grace under pressure. For once, she looked frightened. Not for herself, but for him. "What will people think?" she asked. "Let them," he said quietly. The storm outside built around them. Articles, gossip, speculation. But inside that office, there was only the steady rhythm of trust beginning to form. Night settled over the skyline. They stayed late, papers forgotten, silence softening the edges between them. Dominic leaned back, watching her type. Her reflection glowed against the window, calm and beautiful. He broke the silence. "You could work anywhere. Why here?" Amara looked up. "At first, it was the job, but somewhere along the way, it became about you." He froze. She continued, voice low but steady. "I fell in love with the man you are when no one is watching. The man who sends donations in secret. The one who stays late so his team can rest." Her words cracked something open in him. He'd spent years building walls of perfection. Now, one woman, quiet and sure, had stepped right through them. He whispered, "You deserve better than me." She smiled, soft and sad. "Maybe, but I chose you anyway." The city lights burned behind them, silent witnesses to a confession that changed everything. The next morning brought trouble wrapped in charm. Julian Cross, Dominic's oldest rival, walked into the office with a smile too sharp to trust. "Dominic," he greeted, voice smooth as glass. "It's been a while." Amara sensed the tension instantly. Julian's gaze lingered on her longer than polite. "So, this is the famous assistant," he said. Dominic's tone cooled. "This is Amara Sinclair." Julian laughed softly. "Ah, the woman everyone's talking about." The words cut sharper than they sounded. Dominic clenched his jaw. "What do you want, Julian?" "A proposition. Business, of course." But his eyes said otherwise. As Julian left, he turned to Amara. "Careful, Miss Sinclair. Some men don't like sharing attention." The door closed, leaving silence thick as smoke. Amara looked at Dominic, uneasy. He stared after Julian, knowing this wasn't the last visit. Outside, cameras flashed. Inside, shadows had begun to move. Julian's words returned sooner than she expected. He found Amara one afternoon at a small cafe near the office, all charm and courtesy. "Miss Sinclair," he began smoothly. "Forgive the intrusion." She lowered her book. "Mr. Cross." He smiled, the kind of smile meant to disarm. "I came to apologize for my tone earlier. I also wanted to warn you." Her brow lifted. "Warn me?" "About Dominic," he said softly. "He's a man of patterns. He becomes fascinated, makes women feel special, then moves on when it threatens his image." Amara frowned. "You're mistaken." "Am I?" Julian leaned closer. "Has he introduced you to his family, his friends? Or are you still his secret, hidden behind office walls?" His voice slid into her thoughts like smoke. The questions stayed even after he left. Back at her desk, she kept hearing them. His secret, his image. For the first time, she wondered if Julian was right. Dominic passed by, smiled faintly, and she forced a smile back. But something inside her began to tighten, a quiet crack forming where trust used to be. Days passed, heavy with things unsaid. Amara still worked with care, but her warmth had dimmed. Dominic noticed the distance, though she gave no explanation. He stayed late, hoping she would stay too. She didn't. At meetings, her answers were polite but short. When he caught her eye, she looked away. One evening, he lingered near her desk. "Something's changed," he said quietly. She shook her head. "Everything's fine." It wasn't. Her heart ached at how easy it was to lie. The words Julian had planted grew roots. Doubt, fear, shame. At night, she replayed every glance, every half-smile. Had she imagined the sincerity? Had she only been convenient? Dominic's door stayed open, but neither dared to cross it. The air between them, once alive, now felt cold. Love was still there, but hidden, like a song neither dared to sing. The tension finally broke on a Thursday evening. Files scattered across the desk, deadlines forgotten. Amara stood by the window, arms folded, voice steady but low. "What are we really?" she asked. Dominic froze. "What do you mean?" "You know exactly what I mean," she said. "When we're here, I'm your assistant. When we're alone, I'm something else. But out there, I'm no one." He stepped closer. "That's not true." "Isn't it? You haven't told anyone. You keep me behind locked doors." The hurt in her voice struck deeper than anger ever could. He reached for her hand, but she pulled back. "I thought you saw me," she whispered. "But maybe you only saw what was safe." Dominic swallowed hard. "You matter to me." "Then prove it," she said. Her voice trembled, but her eyes did not. Silence fell like a wall between them, too thick to cross, too fragile to break. The next morning, Dominic returned to formality. "Clear my schedule for Saturday," he said. "Another event?" she asked quietly. "The Davidson wedding. High profile." She typed without looking up. "Should I contact your usual companion service?" He hesitated. "Yes." The word sliced through her. She nodded, face calm, heart unraveling. Hours later, she overheard him on the phone, laughing with a colleague about the wedding. Her chest tightened. Julian's words echoed again. "He'll never make you part of his world." That evening, she walked into his office. "You could take me," she said simply. He looked up, surprised. You know it's complicated. It's only complicated if you're ashamed. He opened his mouth to speak, then stopped. That pause told her everything. Amara turned away. Her reflection in the glass showed a woman trying not to break. The next morning, Amara placed an envelope on his desk. Her voice was calm. I'm resigning, effective immediately. Dominic stared. What? I've accepted a position elsewhere. He stood, disbelief flashing across his face. This is about last night. This is about 3 years, she said quietly. I deserve better. Her hands shook, but her words didn't. I believed what we had was real, but love shouldn't live in shadows. Dominic stepped closer. Amara, don't do this. I already did. He saw then the resolve in her eyes, the same strength that once held his empire together. She walked out of his office without looking back. The elevator doors closed, cutting off the last trace of her scent. Dominic stood alone amid the quiet hum of his success, a man surrounded by everything money could buy and missing the only thing he couldn't replace. 2 days after leaving Hale Enterprises, Amara sat alone at a cafe, uncertain and exhausted. The door chimed, and Julian Cross appeared again, calm, confident, wearing that same patient smile. Miss Sinclair, he greeted. I heard about your resignation. Brave move. She looked up, wary. What do you want, Julian? I want to offer you what you deserve, he said. He slid a folder across the table. Embossed letterhead, thick paper. Director of Operations. Double your current salary. Full recognition. No shadows. Amara traced the edge of the document. It was everything she had once dreamed of. Title, status, respect. And yet, something about his smile chilled her. Dominic never saw your worth. Julian continued softly. I will. She folded her hands to keep them from trembling. I'll think about it. He leaned back. Think quickly. Opportunities fade. When he left, the silence felt heavy. Outside, the world looked bright, but her heart felt gray. Power could buy freedom, but not peace. Still, she wasn't ready to say no, not yet. That evening, Dominic stood alone in his office, surrounded by everything success had built. Yet, every sound reminded him of her absence. He found her number still pinned to the board. Amara Sinclair, executive assistant. He dialed before he could stop himself. She answered, her voice calm but distant. Amara, please don't hang up. There was silence, then a sigh. What do you want, Dominic? I want to explain, he said quietly. He spoke of his parents, of a love so deep it destroyed his father when his mother died. I told myself I'd never need someone that much again. I thought control would protect me. Amara said nothing. He continued, voice breaking. But when you left, it felt like losing everything anyway. I was wrong to hide you. I was afraid. Her eyes filled. Fear doesn't excuse pain. I know, he whispered, but I'd rather be afraid with you than safe without you. It was the first honest thing he'd said in years. They met again that night in the quiet of his office. The city glowed behind the windows, soft and distant. Dominic looked at her, searching for forgiveness. I thought privacy was protection, he said. Amara shook her head. Love isn't something you hide from. Her words hit him like truth long denied. He stepped closer, but didn't touch her. I was terrified of losing you, he admitted. You already did, she whispered. Tears slipped down her cheeks, slow and quiet. He wanted to wipe them away, but she didn't let him. I loved you, Dominic. But love isn't supposed to be small. It's meant to be seen. He swallowed the ache in his chest. Then let me make it right. Amara looked at him. Not with anger, but with weary hope. For once I want actions, not promises. The silence stretched, full of everything they hadn't said. Then he reached for his phone. Dominic dialed a number and put the phone on speaker. Mother, he said, voice shaking slightly. It's me. Amara's breath caught as he continued. I'm bringing someone special to dinner tomorrow. Her name's Amara. She's the woman I love. There was a pause, then his mother's gentle laughter. It's about time, Dominic. He looked at Amara as he spoke. "If she'll have me," he added softly. Her eyes widened. The kind of disbelief that feels like healing. She whispered, "You mean that?" He nodded. "Completely." When he hung up, the air between them changed. It wasn't just a promise, it was a declaration. For the first time, Amara felt seen in the light, not hidden in the shadows. He smiled faintly. No more secrets. And for the first time in years, she believed him. Outside, Atlanta glimmered with the color of new beginnings. The next morning, the door to Dominic's office swung open. Julian Cross stepped inside, eyes sharp with victory. "How touching," he said, holding up a phone. "Word travels fast. I hear you're making things public." Dominic straightened. "What do you want, Julian?" "What I've always wanted. Your company. And maybe your perfect reputation." He tossed a folder onto the desk. "Photos, emails, everything the board needs to remove you. Dating an employee? That's messy business." Amara's face went pale. "You followed us." Julian smiled. "You make it too easy." Dominic clenched his fists. "Get out." Julian ignored him. "By Monday, I'll own Hale Enterprises. You might want to prepare a statement." He turned toward Amara, voice soft and cruel. "You could have worked for me. Now you'll fall with him." When the door closed, silence fell like thunder. Dominic met her eyes. "We'll fix this," he said. But deep down, he feared the cost of love had just begun. Amara spent the night reviewing files, emails, and every transaction Julian had touched. She remembered every detail, the same precision that once kept Dominic's empire running. Now it would save it. By morning, she walked into the office with calm resolve. Dominic looked up, tired but hopeful. "I have something," she said. She connected her laptop to the screen. Recordings, transfer logs, signed authorizations. Julian had manipulated the company's stocks, leaking confidential data to competitors. Every action traced back to him. Dominic blinked. "You kept records?" "I always pay attention," she replied softly. Then she opened another file, an audio clip. Julian's voice, smooth but threatening. "You'll fall with him, Amara." Silence filled the room. Dominic exhaled, half disbelief, half pride. "You just saved everything." Amara smiled faintly. "No, I just stopped letting people use my silence." Security entered moments later, evidence in hand. The storm Julian had built was now turning against him. For the first time, Amara wasn't the assistant behind the man. She was the woman standing beside him, unafraid. The news broke within hours. Julian Cross, under investigation for securities fraud. His confident grin vanished from the screens that once worshipped him. Dominic faced the press with Amara beside him. Reporters shouted questions. Flashes lit the air. He placed a steady hand at her back. "Miss Sinclair," one called, "were you involved in this?" Amara met their eyes. Only in stopping it. The room fell quiet. Her voice carried something stronger than defense. Truth. Dominic turned to her, admiration plain and open. He'd built his empire on control, but she'd saved it with courage. When the conference ended, he whispered, "You shouldn't have had to fight for me." She smiled softly. "I didn't. I fought for what was right." Outside, the city buzzed with headlines, but inside, peace returned. For once, power and love stood on the same side. That night, they watched the skyline from his office window. No more secrets, no more shadows. Only light. Spring painted Atlanta in gold and green. At the same ballroom where it all began, soft music filled the air again. Dominic waited near the same marble steps, his expression lighter now, his eyes softer. Amara appeared, elegant and calm, her laughter carrying across the hall. "Déjà vu?" she teased. He smiled. "Only better." He reached into his pocket and pulled out a ring. Simple, timeless. "6 months ago, you walked into my life like a revelation. Will you stay?" Tears shimmered in her eyes, gentle and sure. "I already did." Applause rose from their friends and staff. People who once never saw her now stood cheering. Dominic slipped the ring on her finger. The same song from that first dance began to play. soft and full of memory. They moved together again, no masks, no fear, just two people who had finally learned what love meant when it was honest. The ceremony took place a year later, under wide glass ceilings and white orchids. The world called it the wedding of the decade. Magazines captured every moment, the billionaire and the woman who once brought him coffee. But what they didn't capture was the silence between vows, the truth beneath the glamour. When Dominic spoke, his voice trembled. "I promise never to hide you, never to forget the color of your eyes again." Amara's smile was soft, full of grace. "I promise to keep seeing the man behind the name." Laughter, applause, music, all blending into something tender. They danced again beneath the same chandeliers that once made her nervous. Now they were home. Love had outlasted money, fear, and pride. It had rewritten both their stories. Two lives once parallel, now joined in light. Outside, fireworks crowned the skyline, bright against the night that had once hidden her. Night settled gently over the city. Amara watched the skyline through the tall windows, the same view that had once made her feel small. Now it felt like home. Dominic stood beside her in silence. They didn't need words. Everything they had fought for, the pain, the loss, the forgiveness, had brought them here. She turned to him and said quietly, "Sometimes the richest people are those who finally dare to be seen." He smiled, eyes warm, as if he already understood. The lights of Atlanta shimmered in the reflection between them, soft and endless. For a long moment, Amara simply breathed. The world outside kept moving, but inside her, everything was still. Being seen, truly seen, had nothing to do with wealth or fame. It was about finding the courage to live honestly, to love without fear, to stop hiding from your own light. And for anyone who had ever felt invisible, her heart whispered a truth she'd learned the hardest way. Your story isn't over yet. There is always another beginning waiting inside you, a place where love, dignity, and courage finally meet.